Hi, I'm Mike Morales. This is Sipping Off the Cuff on TequilaAficionado.com and Tequila Aficionado Media. I'm stuck here in San Antonio.
And I'm
Oh,
blessed to be here in San Diego.
yeah, you're blessed to be there. Yes, you are. And Rick, we have been waxing poetic about the resurgence of the organic category and
The
the
revived Cope for
four
Copas.
copas. Now look at the bottle, Rick. This is the old bottle. It used to look like this too. The old bottle was frosted. The Anejo was, and
Yeah, this is the only of the three that's frosted.
yeah, the original version of the juice of Four Copas was also the Anejo was in a frosted glass bottle. And we have just been falling all over ourselves with the organic Blanco and then the build up to the organic Reposado.
The
And
Blanco was absolutely lovely, but then we were quite surprised by the Reposado because
yes,
everything we liked about the Blanco was still there, with just this gorgeous barrel layer added over it.
yeah,
And
it was a surprise. I was not
yeah,
expecting that. And now
yeah,
we've been
it's
using different glassware too. We've been experimenting with some new glassware. And the pros and cons, even off camera, we've been talking about which, what are the characteristics that we're pulling out with the different glasses. And tonight I'm going to be using a glass that was sent to us again by Chisholm Trail Glassware. This is developed by a gentleman, an Italian designer. His last name is Bermioli. And according to the notes, the gentleman who owns the Chisholm Trail, his name is Romeo Ristov, and we'll be interviewing Romeo for one of our open bars here shortly. And you said that Romeo sent us notes and said that this, well, the one of these, the Stossel we were using, is kind of a marriage between like this one, if this one,
well,
and
in his notes about how it works, he said that it was sort of like a cross between the Glencairn and the Neat Glass.
okay, but I disagree with that. I think this version of the Bermioli, which Romeo feels is probably the best nosing glass he's ever used, and I got to tell you, it's a beautiful crystal, very
That
solid.
is beautiful.
I think this one is a cross between the Stossel and the Glencairn, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
and I
But
think that's probably a better space to be in.
probably so. You can see it's got a longer stem. I have used it since these were sent to us. And it handles beautifully, very reminiscent of how you would handle a Riedel.
And that is beautiful traditional hand etched art on there using a traditional process.
Yeah, it's known as the Pepita etching, and it's I don't know if you can see it. You may have seen it in some of our photos on Instagram.
It's
But
beautiful.
this is the same artisan that did the bottles for Casa Aragones. If you have one of those etched bottles at the foot of it, this is the same artisan. And the glass, the design of the glass is an Italian designer. I'm kind of anxious to see. I've not had the añejo in this glass, so I'm kind of anxious to see what I pull out of it. Rick doesn't have one
Well,
yet.
but I have the other glass
Ah, you do.
Romeo sent us.
Well,
This
tell us
is
about
the
that glass. You said you
so
did
this
some
is the
research on it.
Hinkle
It's a
glass,
Hinkle. Okay.
and
Is
if you
this the
can
añejo?
tell, yeah, this is the Anejo.
Okay.
So this glass has a bell in it, a pronounced bell that sticks up in the middle,
Uh huh.
and you use that to break the surface tension of the fluid, and you use a to and fro motion
As opposed
to
to a swirling.
kind of break it up. Yeah, as opposed to just swirling, where most of the surface can, pretty much stay intact. You
Right.
get a little bit of disruption around the edges. Here, you get disruption throughout, which ideally will release more aromas.
So basically, it's almost like aeration. It's almost like it's like it's splashing up against an obstacle, and catches oxygen, and releases more alcohol, I'd imagine.
Now with this, you're going to have to you need to give it time to really allow the aromas to fill the glass because it's quite a large volume
Right.
with a very open top.
Now,
So my initial thoughts with this is that this might be something very nice to enjoy, your favorite barrel-aged spirits when you're, relaxing after dinner. But I'm not sure if I would feel this is as precise a tool to use, for evaluations.
or even in a competition for that matter.
Yeah.
Now, see this one. As you can see the way it's
Ooh.
shaped. Yeah. Did you get it?
So I just switched to the Stolza, and I'm getting a totally different nose.
Yeah. It's much more. It's
Ooh.
much more concentrated, I think, when it comes up.
Yeah.
Because it comes right up to meet you.
Because the wider space that then constricts is able to hold the aromas in without just losing it all to the atmosphere.
Right.
Oh, that is beautiful.
Wow! 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 This is like the Reposado version. How did we find out how many months this is aged?
So I couldn't find exact information on that. The information I found led me to think that they might be mixing different ages. I found something that said that it's aged between 1 and 5 years in American oak. And then my assumption is that, in the bottling, they're having it average out to, between 1 and 3 years where you would peg an añejo. But, I couldn't really find exact information on that.
It doesn't say on the bottle. The bottles all say pretty much the same thing about the process and the passion. But we got no neck tag on this or anything like the old bottles would have a neck tag and maybe even a recipe or two. But if you've been following us on all these tastings, or if you haven't, I'll just reiterate the two strong points that you need to know about this tequila. It is the owner of the distillery. His name is Alvaro Montes. He owns the distillery and he owns the estate where the agave is grown. It is organic. It is still kosher. Alvaro sings to his agave. He writes them love letters in the leaves, and he has them named. He's named them. Okay. The way this works.
I love the thought of him going up and like gently holding the penca in one hand while he takes the other hand and like gently caresses a love letter into the penca.
I'm telling you, you talk to your plants, right? Look, you obviously can see. I don't talk to this one so much, but
I don't have plants. They all die.
Oh, you don't? Okay. But anyway, there are two strong points. Alvaro Montes is the owner of the distillery, Las Americas, right? What was the name on that one again, Rick?
Las Americas is 1480.
1480. As you mentioned in the Reposado version, there's lots of different tequilas that come out of there. Many of them are organic. I think all of them are, at least the ones you pulled out.
Yeah, all the ones I have from 1480 are organic, and they're all very worthy of having in the library.
Because Alvaro Montes owns the distillery and he owns the property, this is not a co-op of organic farmers, which may work to a disadvantage for some other distilleries. Sebastián Melendres is the master distiller. He is the original master distiller that created the original formula of Four Copas. Okay, and this distillery, the new one, is 5 minutes away from, I would imagine, the old La Quemada.
And that was NOM 1457, which is now defunct.
It's defunct. The water, the soil, everything else is the same, and apparently Las Americas has better equipment. It's a better distillery, and the water, I guess the water, it's the same kind of water, but apparently it's more accessible on that property. So those are the two things you need to know. Single estate, same master distiller.
And their process, their process is the process I love, where they're using open air fermentation with natural yeasts. They're baking the agaves in a masonry oven. It's you can't ask for more.
They're stainless steel
With copper coil.
With copper coil. And the only thing we don't know exactly is how long it's been aged for the Anejo.
Somewhere between 1 and 3 years.
Somewhere
right?
between 1 and 3 years, like the Norma says. Now, I'm getting in this glass, Rick, I get a lot more fruitiness. Again, the pear and the apple a little bit on the top of the nose.
Yeah, well, with the Glencairn, I'm getting a lot more of the agave, and with the Stossel, I'm getting much more of the barrel. So
okay.
with the Glencairn, I'm getting I'm getting pepper, I'm getting the apple, and then when I go to the Stossel, I'm getting butter and caramel, vanilla.
Wow. Very, very strong nose. It's an amplification, and even like a double amplification of what I had in the Reposado.
Yeah. But the that Blanco is still present. It's still
That
have a
Blanco
lot
had a
of agave
sweet
there.
nose to it to start with.
And I'm getting, I'm not really getting much off the Riedel.
It's kind of weird, huh? Once you try these other glasses, you go back to the Riedel, and it's like you got to really dig down hard to get anything out of it.
I think the Riedel might be nicer for more delicate formulations, and certainly more toward the fruity end. So when you're dealing with Blancos, if I had a Blanco that I was evaluating where I knew, maybe they took a big cut off the heads and tails, I think my go-to would be the Riedel for that.
Well, it's interesting. I've spoken to several catadores who tell me that they enjoy the Riedel for Blancos. They prefer them, which was interesting because Riedel originally developed this glass. If you read the press release, you can see the original press release on Tequila Aficionado. They originally developed this glass for reposados. And yet, yeah, I think you're right. I agree with you. I think it's much more Blanco friendly than reposado.
Well, and how long ago was the Riedel developed?
What was it? 2005, I think. 2000. I
And
had to check the press
we have
release.
we've seen a shift in the reposado category.
Yes.
Where we would have this very bold Blanco, and then they would put it in barrels for a few months to round it out, to soften it up, and essentially make it more delicate. And in that sense, I could totally see how the Riedel could have been designed for that.
But there's a difference now too. I think you and I
Now,
talked about it. We talked about it previously.
They're really, the craft tequilas, they're really making a statement with their reposados now.
I think so. I agree. And because this one sure did. That
Absolutely.
Repo really spoke volumes to me. Now I gotta try this. I gotta try the Anejo.
Mm.
Wow. Now see, the Blanco's not lost. That Blanco is really there, and it's really fun.
But I'm getting barrel spice. I'm getting some of the
Allspice
butter.
and cloves. I'm getting a little bit of cloves and allspice.
Yeah.
But it's got a
that
bite
kind of,
to it.
in that kind of pepper category. That
Yes.
it's adding more in that pepper category.
The Blanco is
But
still there. The Blanco is there. In fact, I'm getting more of it, and maybe it was my glass, maybe it was a Glencairn. I'm getting more of the Blanco out of this glass than I did out of the Glencairn. I think you're right. The Glencairn will show you more of the barrel and less of the spirit, because that's what it was designed for to begin with. But this glass, I'm getting both. I'm getting the agave, and especially in the retronasal. I wasn't getting, it was an amplification for me in the Glencairn, but in this glass of Bromioli, the Anejo really brings the agave with it. It's weird. It's like I'm revisiting the Blanco with this layer.
You should pour some. You should pour some in your Stolza.
I'm going to. I'm going to need to. I've got to. Let me dump a little bit here.
I'm comparing the Glencairn and the Stolza, and in the Glencairn, I'm getting much more of the agave, and in the Stolza, I'm getting much more of the barrel.
This is what geeks do, ladies and gentlemen. We start pouring little bits and pieces with different glasses because there is no perfect glass yet. There is none. We're hoping to find it somewhere.
And it might be matching a glass to a profile, not just a whole category.
Well, David Suro, whom I know personally, and you and I have had his tequilas. He always said to me years ago, he said that what we should have is glasses that fit the different microclimates of the regions of tequila. So there should be an Arandas glass. There should be an Atotonilco glass. There should be an El Arenal glass. There should be an Amatitan glass. There should be a tequila glass, a Lowlands. And I think we're headed in that idea. I think we're headed in that direction.
Yeah.
Because originally the Blanco, the original distillery was El Arenal, according to the information we have. If this one is if the new version is only 5 minutes away from the old distillery, yet it's in Amatitan, and it doesn't taste like the Amatitan tequilas that Rick and I have had. You can usually pull them out, but it was not indicative of that region.
In the Glencairn on the finish, I was getting a little bit of that minerality around the edges that I had pulled out in the Reposado, but wasn't as apparent to me in the Blanco.
I'm going to have to get you one of these glasses, Rick.
That's a beautiful glass, too.
This glass is more concentrated. This one softens it a little bit. I mean, the lid says nosing glass, so it's going to bring out these aromas.
Well, and if you're really, I would recommend this glass if you are really into the barrel aromas. If you want those big, rich caramel and vanilla notes. I'm getting them in spades with this glass.
See, and I always pour, even with the Glencairn, I always pour the Blanco into the Glencairn or this one to start with. This was my first foray into using the Stossel, and just to see what the glass does with a Blanco, with something that hasn't been aged, because when you have a glass that's designed for aged spirits, they have to be different than glasses designed that. It's rare that I've even heard a glass being designed for non-aged spirits. I haven't heard that. But I got to tell you, with a glass like this, I would trust glasses with a bigger bell and a funneled, like a hurricane nose, like these two.
Yeah. A place that has a space for the aromas to accumulate. And then be constricted.
Right. And the Glencairn, I think that when you're adding glassware, you really want to have something that's going to enhance your enjoyment of what you're drinking. Primarily, in my case, would be for Blancos. I have had several Blancos in this glass, and I can tell you that this really, really serves its purpose. We love the Glencairn for Blancos. We've had some really good Highlands tequilas out of the Glencairn in a Blanco. Um, this was my first one with four Copas in the Blanco, and I can say that it's sweeter, and this particular Bormioli will it's more concentrated. It doesn't mute it. I don't even want to say mute because I don't think that the nose is muted in maybe some of the characteristics or
Well, it's designed to let the alcohol dissipate, and
right.
any other kind of off, alcohols that might be in there. So, if we had a tequila that had some defects in it,
Oh, we
this
would
might be a
know.
nicer way to serve it.
Yeah. Oh, really? Who would you serve those tequilas to, pal?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. This has been fun. This has been really a nose opener and an eye opener. Um,
Yeah. And you know what this means? From this point forward, you and I have a lot more dishes to do.
yeah, I know. Thank God that we covered the how to dry the glassware. But it's never ending.
We might need to revisit that.
If the craft is getting better, as you said, then it really deserves to be experimented with. Not with number one, your favorite glass, and then
Yeah.
other ones that serve a purpose. So you have a full toolkit. Who knows? You may be serving Highlands tequilas in stemmed glassware, Lowlands tequilas, in footed glassware that looks like this, and I told you before I love to serve my mezcals in this Glencairn. This is a Canadian whiskey blending glass, and I love to put mezcals in here because you only need about this much, and it just comes right up to you. So there's a glass for every purpose, but right now, well, so what's the verdict? Do you like this añejo? Is it?
Oh, it's gorgeous. It's
Wow.
absolutely gorgeous.
Oh
And
man.
it's whether I'm having it from the Glencairn or the Stossel, I think, and it's just I'm definitely pulling out different aspects of the aroma in each,
And I can
but
see where
both are great.
I can see where you're right. The Glencairn does enhance the wood notes very easily. And again, that was
Yeah,
what it was
but
designed to do.
I'm getting more of the agave off the Glencairn than I am off the
Me too.
Stossel.
I'll agree with you there. I'll agree with you there. And I think that's why a lot of us prefer our Blancos out of a Glencairn also. Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
How much does this retail for, Rick? What's it going
This
for?
one, this one right now is going for $70 at Old Town Tequila, um, and according to the website, it's actually marked down from 89. All of the prices on these bottles, I'm not sure if it's techniques he uses or what, but they've all been marked down. But the Anejo is right now $70. The Reposado is 50, and the Blanco is 40.
Wow.
So, and yeah, I would say you can't go wrong with these prices either because they're certainly worth it.
I think the Anejo was comparable to the pricing was comparable to the old version. Again, if you're wondering, you had your doubts or you really missed the old juice or you got some stash somewhere, do us a favor and do a side by side. Tell us what you think. But this stuff, you will not be disappointed. It's being distributed by Glass Bottom Distributors through Southern California. Shortly you should be able to have it all over SoCal. You guys are lucky. I can't wait for them to get to Texas. Texas was supposedly going to be a big market for them back in the day. Congratulations to Las Americas, I think they have they have a long road to hoe though, because that old one was an award winner as you mentioned in San Francisco World Spirits. It's almost like reconquering the world again.
Yeah.
They got their work cut out for them, but they have a very comparable, if not, would I go on a limb and say that it may surpass the old line? Possibly. The mere fact that it could be as successful as it should have been would mean that it surpassed its old iteration, its old version. This is like, the first Iron Man, and then Iron Man 3.0, or the new Captain America. You know what I mean?
Or maybe it'd be like Rocky and Rocky 2.
Like Rocky 2, Rocky 3. I think you're not going to be disappointed, especially all the oak heads out there.
Yeah, you're gonna love this Anejo.
Oh,
It's
wow.
yeah, great wood notes. It's sweeter than the Reposado.
Yes.
It has all of those kind of luscious barrel aspects that you look for.
And this Rick is more of a natural progression than what we've seen in our tastings previously, where we say the Repo is making a statement, and the Blanco and Anejo are almost like three different types of tequila. This one to me is more of what I'm used to, the natural progression.
Well, the Blanco was very lovely, but probably a bit more soft and elegant. You still had some great pepper notes and some nice fruit notes and agave notes. But then the Reposado was really a step up, because you had that lovely Blanco in there with a layer of really nice wood notes without getting too much of that wood sweetness in there. Mm-hmm. And then we come to the Anejo, where you get those luscious wood notes, and you're getting that barrel sweetness as well.
Yeah, and the agave really is not lost. I again, probably was my glassware, but in this glass here, I was in the retronasal. I could get that initial agave that I got in the Blanco. So go get it, man! Congratulations to Four Copas. They are all three versions. I'll have to put them out there. Brand of Promise nominees in the organic category. Blanco, Repo, and Anejo. Lovely. It's nice to know that the original guys who devised it have taken such care, and even moving to a better distillery that was still nearby, so you wouldn't change everything,
Yeah.
and yet you changed everything. So
they're breathing new life into it.
Yes, it's been revived. It's better than the zombie apocalypse. So, but but that's our take on Four Copas. Congratulations to those guys. I hope that you all who are big fans of this old juice will take a look back and go, hey, this stuff is really pretty good, and it's worthy of your attention. It really is worthy of your attention, one way or the other. So
yeah, I'm really interested to hear what people who've had the original have to say about it.
Yeah, me too.
I feel like this is really solid.
Very much so. Yeah, it's probably more than solid. So that's our take on Sipping Off the Cuff. That's what you've been watching here on TequilaAficionado.com and Tequila Aficionado Media. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel down below, that red button. And I'm Mike Morales here in San Antonio.
Rick Levy in San Diego.
And like we like to say, Tomas.